Good afternoon, those in the not in North America. Good evening, good afternoon, good evening to those in Liberia, and wherever you are. We say good evening. We come again, and we want to welcome you once more to another edition of Constitution Forum, where we discuss the Constitution, putting into perspectives our desires of our rights and our responsibility. What does the Constitution say? How can we interpret the Constitution such that we, as lay people, we as people under the banner, we as people who are just around, how can we understand our Constitution? Today, we are going to be putting a strict focus on Article 6 of our Constitution. We're going to see what the article has to say about the educating of our people, of the Liberian people. Where is the Constitution now? Article 6 of the Constitution falls into a particular chapter that has to do with the people, uh, that has to do with the lawmaking and the perspective of lawmaking. What is expected? What are the guidelines? That's why Article 6 basically take charge of. In Article 6, you come to understanding that the people, the guideline or the parameter by which laws are formed on the basis of the Constitution is basically coming up in the article from Article 4 all the way to Article 10. These articles take into consideration all the mandates, that governs the operating of the people as a group. Now, okay, operating of the people. Now, let's be candid and let's be more serious on some stuff here. If we go to the Constitution is divided in chapters, and then chapters are divided in articles. In chapter 2 of the Constitution, which is the general principle that governs national policy, they are giving you the framework by which policies are created and directives. Policy, directives, and presidential mandates, all of them are guided within these articles or within this chapter. This chapter takes that framework into consideration. Given that fact, we discuss on the broad spectrum of Article 4, and we talk about it, giving us the baseline, that the operational baseline for this chapter, so that we can have a mindset. And then we went to look at Article 5, which then took into consideration the rules and the regulation for legislations, the rules and the regulation for directives. These things are covered there. When you come to chapter 6, the chapter becomes serious when you come to Article 6. In Article 6, the directive is basically looking at one thing. And remember how we did in Article 1 to 5? We're going to do the same thing in Article 6. To take out the meat, to take out what the Constitution really is saying. And then we'll add up into it to see the condition or the parameter that governs it. Okay? That's what we're going to do like we did before. Now, let's let's go back, and this time we're gonna try to take the Constitution. We're gonna try to add up in the Constitution and see where we can come out with it. We're gonna be in the Constitution a little bit more. We will come through that means, and we will talk about the things that we need to talk about. Okay, we'll talk about the things about. Now, now let's first look let's first look at a little bit here. Let's look at the Constitution itself. Let's see what the articles say. Let's see what the articles say. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Okay. This is. I want to post the article. I'm trying to bring the article on so we can see the article and be able to read the article. Now I have done coloration to the article. I hope it will not kind of confuse you when it comes on. Okay. Okay. Let me blow it up. This is the Article 6 of the Constitution. This is the Article 6 of the Constitution. And it reads thus: the Republic shall, because of the vital role assigned to the individual citizen under this Constitution for the social, economic, and political well-being of Liberia, provide equal access to educational opportunity facilities for all citizens to the extent of available resources. Emphasis shall be placed on education of the Liberian people and elimination of illiteracy. That is the article. But let's get to the meat of the article. The meat of the article says the Republic shall provide equal access to educational opportunities and facilities. Emphasis shall be placed on mass education and elimination of illiteracy. That is the cross. That is the major thing. That is the major thing when we come to education. We are asking, and today is going to be a candid discussion. I will wish that if anybody will want to call in, I will wish that you do so. If you want to participate, I will wish that you send me a message so that I can know you want to participate. I will bring you on so that we can discuss this issue. But what is the major problem with us right now in Liberia? We let's take Monrovia before we go into the Leeward County. How many government high school is just in Monrovia? How many government high school is within Monrovia? How many government junior high school is within Monrovia? How many government elementary school is within Monrovia? We are prone to stop and think a little bit. And when we decide to want to think about it, let's be sincere to ourselves. First and foremost, let's be sincere to ourselves. If we are sincere to ourselves, we will be asking people to be sincere with us. But if we are not sincere to ourselves, we will not be able to ask people to be sincere to us. When the Constitution asks us as a government and as a people to concentrate on providing, or the government to concentrate on providing equal access to opportunities and facilities, to education facilities and opportunities. They are saying that make it to the point where it is easy. Not only that, but it is easy to access those things. It is easy to get to them. It is easy to achieve, to accomplish it, so long you are determined to do it. Now, if your kids that live with you have equal or have access to food they do not crave and they do not go hungry, because why? When they want to eat, they can reach to the food. It's equal, it's easy access, okay? And all the kids got the same right, but now you can't give all the kids equal access, because some people will go and eat the baby food and the baby can't eat adult food, so then we have a problem. But the thing about it is that there is equal access to what I want to eat as a child. There's equal access to what you want to eat as a child. So long you can get it, you're good. So long I can get it, I'm good. So that's the basic problem. That's the big issue we are looking at right now. Are there equal access? Are there equal access? Let's stop and breathe the air for a minute. Liberia can only move forward with education. Liberia can only do better with education. Our people are making wrong decisions because of the lack of education. We do not want to educate our people. We do not want to educate our people. And why? Today, I will be giving some scenarios and some synopses that will be making some assertion that people will not like. Take the politicians. Take the politicians. What do you have on Zogos? Are those politicians even thinking on helping those people to become modern citizens? No. Why? Because if those people become modern citizens, they have to think before they elect the next person. They will have to concentrate. They are the most vulnerable anymore. They are now contributing to society, and because they are making positive contributions to society, they want to find people who will make positive contribution. So, but the more they are in that arena, like other people say, the more they are in that state, the people who will be hopeless, and because they anything that vote, like one writer said, he said, an empty stomach makes a bad political advisor. An empty stomach make a bad political advisor, which means a hungry man will not. He has no good. That stomach not taking anything good. His political advice will not be reactionary. It will be on getting something in his stomach. So people say, like when people reserve the place for $10, the man wants to eat today. He doesn't want to eat tomorrow. So if we keep these people feeding themselves, every people so that they can feed themselves, they will not become an impediment to the growth of the democracy or the growth of Liberia. But because we need their vote to keep us, to perpetually keep us, we look for ways to manipulate them. This brings me to consider other things of equal essence. This is something of the Constitution, the meat of the Constitution, okay? To bring out the meat of the Constitution. People, it's kind of easy. It's kind of easy when people when you look at something and it becomes a matter of ready to of us it bothers when it comes to the matter of people just pointing finger at us. It bothers us because we see ourselves as a contributor to the society. We may not be the guys that have the millions to throw around. We may not be the guys that have the millions to throw around. Look at this. This is what I did to Article 6. This is what Article 6 says in a nutshell. The Republic shall provide equal access to educational opportunities and facilities for all citizens. Emphasis shall be placed on mass education and elimination of illiteracy. Somebody tell me if this is not plain and simple English. Plain and simple English. This tell you what you are to expect from the government. This tell you exactly what the government is to make, what the government is to do. This gave you exactly an idea of what the government is to do. Now, if the government shall provide equal access, equal means for everybody. It should be equal. Now, that does not mean that it's equality. No, equal is. I mean, that's not where we going. Okay, but we should have access to educational facilities and educational opportunity, the opportunity to excel in education, the opportunity to go to the different educational facility. That includes a library, a laboratory, or school building. We should have those things. We should have access to those things. In this modern time, it also will include internet. How do we upgrade? How do we do it? Now, that also means that the government can make the play, can make the playing field equal, so that other people can come and invest into the education. Say, hey, I want to open a high school. Go right ahead. I want to open I want to open private elementary school. Go ahead. I want to open a private junior high school. Go ahead. The thing about it is that that's the facilities. It's there. But that facility, that private facility that is created by a private individual that is charging a fee that the individual citizen cannot afford, that makes it available, is accessible. But because it's not affordable, the person is denied education. He's not going to get what he needs to go forward. So the government step in to bring down that aggregate. The government step in and create schools in the same neighborhood for people, so that the price between, since the government school have a lower price and a higher standard, this guy's school with a higher standard will have to lower his price. So whatever it is not the idea of free, it's an idea of affordability. So coming back to it, look at in Cinco, and that is I'm taking it from City Hall all the way to Nigeria House. I consider that Cinco. How many government high school is in that neighborhood? Government high school. Only Tottenham High. Can Tottenham High hold 5,000 students? No, it cannot hold 5,000 students. But again, it's a big building. It's a big school. Now let's look at the quality. We are looking at the quality of the facility. The facility is not easily and not equally accessible, because somebody has to walk from all the way Nigerian house, has to travel from Nigerian house all the way to 12th Street. Somebody got to walk from City Hall to 12th Street. Those two distances are not equal. They are not the same. So when we talk about equal access, we're talking about locality. Look into the locality. Just between just between Nigerian house and 12th Street, that's about 3 districts over there. And you're talking about 30,000 plus people in that area, with a bulk of the people in that area falling between the ages of 12 to 22. So you got part of the people in that area, and part of the people in that area are in high school or junior high school or elementary school anyway. Now, how many junior high school do you have in that government junior high school that's in that vicinity? Again, go connect. You still do not have sufficient. You do not have adequate number of government junior high school within that area, because the area is so big. You need more elementary school than you will need junior high school, and more junior high school than you will need high school. You got Cabra, Matadi. You go into Matadi. Matadi needs a high school. Matadi needs a high school. 2 or 3 junior high school, and 5 or 6 elementary school to accommodate the students in that area. But then the question becomes, what are we going to do? How do we write the policy? How do we write the policy so that it keeps these things in check? You know, the government has a lot of responsibility. I do not expect the government to take everything up at the same time and accomplish everything at the same time. But there are some things I think the government needs to start to move forward. There's something the government needs to start to move forward, because we are talking about having equal educational opportunity and facilities. That's the first part of it. Because the objective of having that, the objective of the writer of the Constitution, the freedom of the Constitution, the objective of this was not the bottom line fact that, well, we will have these available, we will blow these things up. No. The framework of this Constitution, we're looking at the future and preempting the future in about 20 to 30 years where we are now. That's why they were projecting that at this time we will have a lot of government schools and we will be fighting against illiteracy. But instead of us fighting against illiteracy, we are now propounding and promoting illiteracy. What do I mean? The Constitution says in Article 6 that the emphasis of our education, the focus of our education based on our available resources, must be on mass education and the elimination of illiteracy. Mass education and the elimination of illiteracy. So there's 2 things I will talk about here in this area. Mass education. What is mass education? It's educating the majority of the people. It's educating the majority of the people and getting the people aware of those things. It's creating and opening up areas in which people continue to move forward. Now, mass education is talking about more people. Let more people be educated. Let more people become literate. Let more people learn how to read and write. I remember back in the days, when I speak about back in the days, I'm talking about in the 70s, 80s, to allow people who had passed the school going age to go to school. There were night schools. Schools were being held in the night. Elementary school, junior high school, senior high school. Oh yeah, they had night classes. Okay, and people were there. People went to school at night. Some people graduated from high school, went to university, and some people went to university and became lawyers, doctors, or engineers because they had the opportunity to go to school. This is what we're talking about when we talk about mass education. They also had, I know there was another time where they had literacy program where they were teaching people who thought that they had no business to read and write. They were teaching them how to read and how to write their names and how to write a little sentence or a little letter. So people were going to those things too as well. Literacy program. All these was in the combat against illiteracy. We have our since the war, our literacy rate has increased. It has not decreased, because right now we have functional illiterate or functional or illiterate people. We have some people, and those are the ones who went to the school but never went to the school, never allowed the school to go through them. So we got these people living in our society. Okay, we got people like these living. We got some people who did not even go to school. They not even go through school. They drop out of school for one reason or another. Okay, but the Constitution is focusing on us educating a lot of people with what? And the fact, and those people, and our focus, not only that we educate a lot of people, but the more that we educate, be the one that will help us to eradicate, to rush out, to eliminate illiteracy. So where are we on this this line? Where are we going on this line? Have we started talking about illiteracy yet? Are we working toward the eradication of illiteracy? Okay, are we working toward eradication of illiteracy? Yes, somebody will say, yes, we are. We are working toward the eradication of illiteracy. And it's serious. It is serious, but it becomes a strange thing. How we working to eradicate illiteracy. It becomes a strange thing. And how strange is it? Somebody will ask. We have more people illiterate. We have a lot of illiterate people. But our focus right now, the president's mandate or the president's directive, is on making education free for tertiary. This where I got my problem. I have no problem with president paying wire fees. And trust me, you can agree with me or you can disagree with me. Paying of wire fee will not become a problem for the family if the family can send the kids to school free. So, which means if we focus on building more high schools, more elementary school, more junior high school, and not building it, but giving them quality, standardizing them, giving them value, so that the child that goes there can compete with the private school students. That will give the school its value. It will give the school its equity. It will give the government school the position where people will say, well, why should I send my child to the private school when they can go to the government school and make it seem and do far better than they will send their children to the government school? But to do that, we must focus on the government school. Now, can we do all at once? Hell no. Can we do all at once? No. The government cannot do all three stages at once. But the government can start. The government can start from somewhere. You see, everybody got a problem. The Constitution is violated. Everybody got a problem when the Constitution is violated. You hear everybody yelling, oh, that's a violation of the Constitution. That's a violation of the Constitution. But I've never heard anybody speak when the Constitution is being undermined. Let me show you. Let me take something for you to kind of listen to. You know, you can undermine the Constitution. You can undermine the Constitution in whatever way you want to. It is not a hard thing to do. It's an easy thing to undermine the Constitution. And why do I say it's an easy thing to undermine the Constitution? You see, the Constitution in this instance is saying that we need to present. The Constitution is saying that we need to focus our education drive for more people, a larger number. And while we are focusing on a larger number, we also need to strive to eliminate illiteracy. Now, the Constitution, in my mind, in my view, is being undermined when the people consider that they're not looking at the primary schools, which is the focus point of eliminating illiteracy. They are looking at tertiary school. And when you look at the tertiary school, you undermining the Constitution, because the Constitution wants mass illiteracy, mass literacy. That's what the Constitution says, mass literacy, so as to eradicate illiteracy. So then, if you look at the tertiary education and make that free, how can a man who has not gone to school reach up to the tertiary era? It becomes a problem. So they're not that they're violating the Constitution. You are not violating the Constitution. You are not violating the Constitution. Directly, you are not breaking any constitutional law. But you are undermining the Constitution in that you are doing it for the people on the top and leaving the illiteracy rate to grow. And then this happens. And then this happened. When this happened,
On a communication seeking to legislate the free tuition as proposed by His Excellency President George Weah. From whence did you come?
Thank you very much. Pleasure. It's a pleasure to be back again. Yes, we propose a legislation today requesting enactment from the Honorable House of Representatives. As you may be aware, a few weeks ago, we were involved in this political campaign, and we made some commitment to our constituents, the people of Maserado, by extension, the people of Liberia, as it relates to our 90 days deliverables. If we were to be given the opportunity to serve the people of Maserado County. Unfortunately, it didn't work, and then we made that commitment that we're going to stick to our commitment. Basically, we like to begin by saying a big thanks to the President, His Excellency Ambassador George Weah, for prioritizing what we call tuition free to all public institutions, especially tertiary educations. By extension, we also like to say thank you for his gesture, for taking responsibility for all WACs, the payment of WACs fees for 9th grader to 12th graders. We believe in our wisdom, it is in good faith, and it brings some economic relief to our citizens, because you and I will agree a few years back, it was a challenge for Liberians' parents paying tuitions for kids, family members at the higher learning institution of our country, for example, the University of Liberia, where some of our colleagues could not even afford the payment of tuitions at the University of Liberia. And that was a problem. And the payment of WAS fees was a challenge for some of our parents, our mothers. Holding to the fact that government is continuity, we believe it should not be on the basis of graphics, meaning the president have agreed and accepted to do this under his watchful eyes. But what becomes of this when it is not a policy driven or legislated? We will become president succeeding George Weah or the CDC-led government. Probably we have changed this gesture. In my wisdom, is a gesture that should take us a long way. Liberia should benefit. It should not be a short term or a medium term. It should be a long term gesture. From that background, we talked to proffer this communication today, meaning those instruments, so that the honorable legislature, beginning with the House of Representatives, can have this special funds be placed aside for the support of our brothers and sisters that will be attending those public institutions of higher learning. We can have revenue set aside and be incurred by this government or succeeding government to pay WACs or wire fees for our children. And the way to do that, it is the legislature that have that authority to see a fit to have this instrument enacted so that our citizens can continue to benefit beyond the George Weah administration and other administration that will succeed him. So that was proffered today on the floor of the House of Representatives, and a decision was reached in keeping with our procedure that said communication be received and sent to the relevant committees so deliberations can take place in the committee room and then be resubmitted on the House's floor for finality. Probably we will be on the good side, and then that document, if accepted, will be sent to the Senate for concurrent and onward submission to the Office of the Chief Executive. But we believe it's something good for all of us as Liberians.
We'll take 5 questions. Let's begin.
okay, you heard it. The Representative Fala is performing a bill, and that bill is intended to continue the presidential directive, only now that it's going to be a law. It's going to be a law that tertiary education, which means any public school above high school, any public school above high school, that takes into consideration all the public community colleges, junior colleges, all the public colleges above high school becomes free, tuition free. And WIAC fees is not going to be paid by any student. The government going to pay WIAC fees. Now, I got no problem for now when you're paying WIAC fees. I got a problem with tertiary education because tertiary education is a privilege. It's not a right. It's a privilege because it's a choice. You are not illiterate when you come out of high school. You are not illiterate when you come out of high school. You are not considered illiterate when you come out of high school. Nowhere in the world will you be considered illiterate when you tell the people, oh, I finished my secondary school. They say, understand very well that you are not illiterate. Well, it may be in language barrier and maybe in language, but in English or in an English-speaking country, you would not be considered illiterate. Now, why do we then pay money for people who we have paid their WIAC fees so that they have come out of high school? Then we say, okay, now that you're out of high school, go to university free. What is the attachment to the free university that will compel this person to serve his country? There is nothing. Let's drive that down. Let's come back. The idea of mass education is that the number of people that will go to school will be more than the people who will not be able to go to school or who will refuse to go to school. If you ever look at the triangular diagram of education, there are more students in elementary than you have in junior high school. There are more students in junior high than you have in high school. There are more students in colleges or in junior colleges than you have in the upper one, which means some people will get an AA degree and they will stop. They will not go forward. They will stop. Some people will go and get a four years degree, but the people who will be in the AA program will be more than the people in a 4-year program. And the person who gets a 4-year degree may want to go, few of them will want to go on to get a master's. And the people who get a master's, few of them will go on to get a doctorate. The number of persons who has doctorate is not equal to the number of persons that enter university that year, the same year. It's not equal. You got a number, you got a disparity. And why? Because it's a choice. It's a choice. When people say there are school-going children selling in the streets during school time, I quickly ask them, can the family afford to put that child in school? If the family cannot afford to put a child in school, and the government does not have schools that a child can walk into freely, how can the government hold the family for not educating the child? This is a tricky, it's a hard ball. You want to hold it, but you want to trap it, but before you trap it, it will break. So you got to hold it. It's a hard egg. It's a hard egg. You cannot hold it because it will burn you. You cannot drop it because it will burst. And you will not gain the value of it. So for the child to go to school, we must make the school accessible. When the school is accessible to the child, you can make the parents send the child to school. Because it's not only accessible, the facility is not only accessible, it is affordable. Because primary education is a must. If our democracy must survive, primary education is a must if our democracy must survive. Why is it today we got a lot of problems in Liberia? A lot of people have been taught, but a lot of people have not been taught to think. Reading is good, but reading without thinking is a bad thing. Being educated is good. Being educated without thinking, learning to think, is a bad thing. You must think. And thinking why people don't like to do because it requires parameters. It requires taking into consideration the if and the whatnot. It requires look beyond. The president has a good heart. He wants people to go to school in he wants higher education to be in Liberia, and I applaud him for that. He wanted people to go to school. I applaud him for that. I'm only asking him, Mr. President, concentrate on equipping and qualifying the schools and see if the people will not look. Tertiary education is a choice of a will. It's a flower of our education. When you come out of high school, if you really went to school and you come out of high school, you have learned to absorb a lot of things. You have learned to digest a lot of things. Then it becomes now, okay, let's present these things that I've learned. Let me make myself valuable to the society. And to make yourself valuable to the society means you have to present your issue. You have to present your cases. You have to prove to your people, to the people that you know when you're talking about when you say it. You have to think through what you talk about. You have to try to make rational decisions. That's why it is called education. Education is not only the acquisition of knowledge, it's the application of knowledge as well. Acquisition is easy. You can go to school, get all the knowledge. But if you cannot, it's like, let me say it this way. Why would somebody call you, why would somebody call a medical doctor a medical doctor? You think it's because he went to school? Yeah, he went to school. But if he cannot apply what he learned, nobody want to call him a medical doctor. It's like a mechanic who got a paper that says, I can fix car. And then you show him the car, he said, no, I can't fix that part. You show him the engine, no, I can't fix that part. Change the tire, I can't fix that part. Okay, let's see if you can do body work. I can't fix that part. What part can you fix? He can't fix no part. So then, is he a mechanic? By paper? He got paper that says he's a mechanic. But he's a mechanic practically, so nobody would consider him a mechanic. Again, we got to go back and revisit these things again and again and again. Our policies. We need to be asking our policy maker, what is the policy on education? What is the policy on education? If we don't understand, it is very, very important that we know. And when you decided to lead Liberia, you need to have a primary concern, a primary focus on agriculture, education, healthcare, security. You got to be able to scope up the economy. You got to scope it all up and have a focused drive, because all these things are what the people expect you to accomplish when you are a leader. They don't look. People don't really worry or care about whether you look good or you don't look good. The people want to know whether you can deliver. So when you're ready to talk, you gotta have a policy that is saying, listen, this is the policy that I'm going to be driven by when I'm elected. I'm looking at I'm looking at the healthcare. I'm considering increasing the number of nursing school, but I'm also considering clinics, building more clinics in areas, clinics that will take care of, that will be able to take care of the first step of it, and then follow you on to the hospitals. Well, we got a hospital, you got JFK. At the same time, you just finished with Redemption. Good. Or you still building Redemption in on Bruchon Island. Yes, these are things. But I still remember in the 70s, in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s, when people used to fly to Liberia to get certain procedure done. When Liberia was for Ghana, Nigeria, and other countries, a reference point where people will send their patient. Now, people are leaving Liberia, going to these countries that came to us. What do we call ourselves? What's happening with us? What are we doing? We are calling on our leaders to go back, take our education system serious. Go back to our people. Go way down there. I don't ask you to go on the top. I'm asking you to go way down to the bottom. Let's build elementary school, if possible, in every village. Let's make elementary school in every village and let's make it free. Let's start making elementary school free. Why? Elementary is about the cheapest school right now you can make free. Because you can tell the people, look, let's focus on 3 courses. And I tell anybody right now to compare to consider it. 3 courses. Let's consider 3 courses. Reading, if I said for the first 3 years, let's do 2. Reading and math. 2 courses, reading and math for the first 3 years. Reading and math, first, second, and third grade. Let's focus on that. Let the child come to school and just read and do math. Read and do math. Read and do math. Embedded into our reading. Let us make our own reading material. Let us make our own reading material. Embedded into the reading material, let us put the history. Let us put science. Let us put geography. Look, let us fill it up with things that the children will enjoy reading so that they can get this information early. And as they grow, and when you go to the 4th grade, you can bring it up in reading, math, science, and history. Make it a general thing, social studies. Reading, math, science, social studies. So that the children can be, so that other things can be cultivated, can be added into it. If we do that for the first 6 years of these children's lives, they will acquire so much different knowledge, so much different things they will have in their head. They will learn so much things because it will be embedded into the reading. It will be embedded into the mathematics. It will be embedded into the history or the social studies. And by the time they come to say, they know a lot more of our country and a lot more of science than we really think they do. Then before they get started growing into the different specific area in those studies. But what we need to do right now is to try to make primary education free. This is my focus today. Instead of people writing bill or offering bill to make tertiary education in public school free, let them puff a bill to make primary education free. That is the most essential thing to do right now, to make primary education free. To finance primary education. To finance primary education. We need to finance primary education because our children need to learn. Learning does not start in its junior high school. Learning does not start in the senior high school. Learning starts in the primary schools. If you are not primarily in the primary school, if a child is captured and is curious, his curiosity to learn is growing, trust me, that child wants to go to school regularly. That child always wants to go to school. Always. Because why? The child has seen something that has captivated his attention. He has seen something that has caught him and has drawn him in. He has seen something that is moving his inside. The Constitution is not saying any otherwise than that. The Constitution is not telling us any other thing different than that. The Constitution is saying to us that it wants us to just do this one thing. That's all the Constitution wants us to do. Just this one thing. And that is for us to eliminate illiteracy. The Constitution wants us to eliminate illiteracy. That's what the Constitution wants from us. The Constitution wants to eliminate illiteracy, but it becomes difficult. It becomes difficult, and we as a people are not looking at what the Constitution wants to do and take it. Like I said, and I will continue to say, like I said then, and I will continue to say, when we undermine the Constitution, we are not violating the Constitution. We're just not bringing the Constitution mandate up to the standard that it should be raised. We are looking at the Constitution mandate and saying, well, look, I got one school year, one elementary school year, that can host 200 persons, but even though I got 1,000 students in this area, that one elementary can suffice. That is not to the extent of our resources. No, that is to your extent. That is to what your determination to be. We are fighting in this strife to eliminate illiteracy. And because we want to eliminate illiteracy, we have to try to educate more people. And to educate more people, we cannot do it at the tertiary level. We got to do it at the primary level. Because the primary level is where people learn to read. Literacy or illiteracy is the inability to read and write. Literacy is the ability to read and write. If the person learns to read and write, and we capture the focus on education in the primary school, that person will always go to school and they will be able to achieve. I have seen people, back in my time, I have seen people who came from the interior well above age. Well above age. But today, some of them, I know them, they are lawyers in our country. Good lawyers too. Some of them are doctors in our country and good doctors. These are people that have stepped up. But illiteracy cannot be fought from the top. It cannot be fought from the bottom, where the people cannot read and write. Where the people cannot read and write. So focusing on the tertiary education is not a good idea. I think if you focus on the tertiary education, let's focus on the quality of the tertiary education. Let the people pay for it. If you can't pay for it, you can't get it. That's tertiary education. You already educated. You can read and write. You can go to work. When I was in Liberia, I was working 2-3 jobs going to school. I was in the science college, and I was working going to school. I was in the school of pharmacy. I was working going to school. I was working to go to school. I was paying my own school fees. We were not there saying, look, make the school free. Yeah, in the school of pharmacy, yes, it was free. But it was free with the understanding that when I graduate, I will work for the government. That's what it was free for. When I graduate, I work for the government.
I wanted to show you this.
Okay? Wow. So you see, it's difficult. When the mindset is that when you graduate, you will work. Let's look at it. There's agriculture college. Late President Samuel Kanyado following the late President William Titoba made agriculture college free. Today, you got people who graduated from agriculture college and sitting right in Monrovia and one may farm on the quota. You got the government not even utilizing people who graduated from the agricultural college that they pay school fee for. They're not even using those people, but they have graduated. They are there. They are there. You got people who you educated, who are knowledgeable, but they are not doing anything with it for the government. Whose fault is it? Is it the Liberian people's fault? No. When you come to tertiary education, it's a different level of commitment and contract. I will educate you, you will work for me. That's the one that goes on even with the medical school. Medical school don't pay school fees, but when they graduate, they get an assignment from the Ministry of Health. Again, it goes back to us recognizing that we are trying to combat illiteracy. We are trying to combat illiteracy. And because we want to combat illiteracy, we have to start with the primary school. Our children and our children's children, if we do not educate the primary students and we do not do proper education with them, trust me, they will not do anything in the future. They will not do anything in the future. Okay? What are we having? Look, it hurts me. But yet, I still applaud the president for the paying of the WIAC fee, the West African Examination Council fee. I really applaud the president for that. He paid that fee for all students, all 12 graders, and I was applauding him for that. Along with that, let them start looking at, let them take that money that they want to put into the public school to pay for school fee, let them subsidize those public school, and let them start to standardize the education in those public schools so that people can pay. In this case, the school will generate money, and the government will be able to have a board to say, okay, this is how you focus and redirect that money. Then instead of the government taking the whole responsibility of that school, it will be divided between the students and the government. How much the school can raise, how much the government put in, and what the focus of the government's percentage. The percentage that the government put in, what is it going to be for? But to just take the whole thing and put it on their head to run with it, I think, and leaving the primary education out, I think that's a bad precedent. That's a bad precedent. I am calling on senators and representatives because Representative Fala said he is offering a bill. He has offered a bill in already. I wish that bill died on natural death because it is not in the focus of the Constitution. It is not in the framework of the Constitution. That bill is completely undermining the Constitution. He's not violating the Constitution, but he's undermining the Constitution. And when you undermine the Constitution, because it's not a violation, nobody can hold you responsible for it. It left with those who cannot, those who others to recognize that, hey, this is not in the best interest of the Liberian people and not in the best interest of the Constitution. So we are not duty bound to follow this. Why? Because it's not concentrating on mass education and not focusing on the eradication of illiteracy. And because it's not focusing on the eradication of illiteracy, it does not undermine the Constitution because so to some extent, you still educating people. Yeah. But you are not violating the Constitution to say, listen, don't let battle with the lower, let battle with the higher. That still is not a violation of the Constitution. The Constitution in this state does not say which level can be or should be focused on. When you read it, it's not telling you directly which level. It's giving you a criterion for the law. That your criterion say your emphasis, your focus must be on educating a lot of people and the elimination of illiteracy. So, are you eliminating illiteracy in college? I don't know if you're doing that. I really don't know if you're doing that. Because to get to tertiary era, you'll be out of the group of people that say illiterate. You are not illiterate anymore because you can read and write. So then, who cannot read and write are the people who have not entered the elementary or who are in the elementary and without a proper or requisite. Yeah, you will find them all over. You can find an elementary student. I understand that. I know that. Trust me, I know. I work there. I know that. So the bottom line is for you to be able to focus on where we can do good right now and moving forward. Moving forward, what is our focus? How do we combat illiteracy? And how do we get ready to get things up? And this is my plea. When it comes to the Constitution, they are calling on all citizens. You are responsible for your own education. You are responsible to endeavor to be educated. The government only got to make the facilities and the opportunity for you to go to school. If the government put the school there, it is your responsibility to go there. If the government gave you an opportunity to go to school, it is your responsibility to go. Your responsibility is to go. Whatever it takes for you to go is your responsibility to go. The government is not to make it free, but we are going on the government that instead of making tertiary free, make primary education free. Start with primary education. Let's focus on primary education. Look, there are a whole lot. There's more high school, private high school in Monrovia than you have private high school. Or public high school. There's more private high school in Monrovia than you have public high school. There are more private high school in the whole entire country in every location than you have private public high school. Go to Kakata. That's all. You got basically two public high school, and the rest of them is private. Whole lot of private high school. You got more private schools than anything than public school anywhere in the country, and that is elementary, junior, and senior high school. That's the problem we got. We need to ask our government to give us more public school in all levels, more public school, and not only building the school, but making the teachers and getting the quality of the teacher that we need. Put quality teacher in the school to focus on those things, and you will see what will happen. See how many students will leave the private school and go to public school and and see how many families will be able to take the money that the school, the private student way, the school, the children were in private school to take and pay their own school. That's the problem we got. People are being surfaced. Now, to you people in the tertiary education, I remember some time ago talking to a man who said, yes, I agree. I like the idea that tertiary school is free because my stepson is in the college in Maryland and he's doing free and he's going to school free. And I listened to him. I said, so that's the only reason you like it, because you got a child who is benefiting. What about somebody who doesn't have a child that level? But they are at that level, but they can't afford to go there because their children is they have to put their children in private school because there is no government school or the government school is not qualified. What about those kind of people? Now let's say it the other way. Let's take the money that I man is paying for his children in elementary school. Let's take that money for him. Let's save it. So let's make the elementary school free for him. You gave him money to go to college. So that man can go to college. He doesn't have to say, well, I sacrifice my school for my children's school. No. His children will go to school and he will go to school. So you have people, you have an addition of enough person that are being educated. That's my point. That is all I am saying. You have addition of the number of person that is that are being educated. So we are asking each and every one of you who are in the tertiary education and benefiting from the president goodwill gesture. We will ask each and every one of you: are you doing Liberia any good? Do you think you're doing Liberia any good? Which one do you want? Now you go into the school, be honest with yourself, look at the quality of the education you get. Ask yourself, is this what you call quality? Is this what you call quality? Is this what you want as quality? Is this what you desire to have as equality? Or do you think you want it to be a little bit more better than that? If you want it to be better, you have to be ready to pay for better. Better don't come cheap. Better is not free. Good, yeah, good can be free. Better, better is never always free. And better not cheap. So you got to be willing and ready to ask yourself the question: what benefit am I? What contribution am I making to the Liberian government when I decide to go to college free of charge? And I got 2 kids. So my 2 kids are in school. My 2 kids are in school or are not in school because I can't afford to pay for both of them, and they are in a government school that I really don't like, and I complaining every day. When my kids come from school, you say, "Hey kids, how was school today?" "Oh, daddy, the teacher came and left." Or sometimes the teacher had to go run to his own school, or he had to go run to do something else. This is the bottom line. Education is not free. Education is not cheap. Education is not cheap, especially university education is not cheap, and don't expect it to be free. It costs somebody something. And this is why we are calling on you in that area. The reason why these people making that thing free is because at the end of the day, you will be indebted to voting for them to perpetuate that free education. To keep that free education going is for your vote. is for your vote to keep that free education going. Because you benefit from it today, you feel obliged, you feel obligated to vote for them so that they can keep it going. And when you vote for them, they keep it going. So basically, if they can make education free for the kids who cannot afford it, if they can make education free for the children, how much more you think, and why do you think they are doing it for you? It's because they want something from you. They want something from you. They want something from you. Answer the question for yourself, not me. What are you willing to sacrifice? Your kids or yourself? What are you willing to sacrifice? Your kids or yourself? With that, I want to say thanks to all that followed me. I'm still trying to get my telephone system working. I have a number already. I'm trying to see how I can hook up everything to get it working. More likely, I may be able to list to people to see I can get it working. And when I do, I will set it up so that you can call in. If there ever you think you want to participate, give me a hit right on LPR radio, drop me a line, and I'm sure I'm going to it's going to get to me, and I'm going to be able to discuss what we're talking about, and we'll bring you on. Remember, whatever you say is your opinion. This platform is a noble platform. We do not use abuse. We do not use humiliation. We simply discuss the issue and talk everything. You are responsible for what you say, but we govern the civility of how you talk. And we feel if for any reason you become more vulgar and become uncivilized, we are we are with clothed with the authority to shut you up and lock you down. Our constitution is being undermined. Let us decide to know when it's undermined. It's our responsibility to know what our constitution offers for us. Remember, the government is to make the facilities and the opportunities of education accessible, and their focus is to eliminate illiteracy by educating more people. Thanks for following me up, and I gotta get going. I'll talk to you another day. Again, be good, be safe, stay out of trouble. Bye bye.